All right, so having a healthy community. So we've talked about the study by Harvard of adult development, and we've also mentioned in the past Rat Park. If you guys have heard of Bruce Alexander that did that study with rats, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was the 70s or 80s. And basically, the conclusion of that study was that I can get these rats addicted to cocaine and heroin to where they become so addicted that they kill themselves. They go back time and time again and they hit this little dispenser and suck up all these good endorphin boosting drugs that's keeping them high and feeling good, and they kill themselves. And that's how it ends, right? But then when he created Rat Park, which Rat Park had lots of social interaction with young rats and female rats and other rats that he could have friend rats and play with and little spin wheels and mazes and things. Life all of a sudden took on new meaning for the rat, right? And there was substance and connection and social interaction, and miraculously they stopped killing themselves on dope. So if you haven't looked into that, I would recommend that you take a minute to investigate that at some point in time. Also, the Harvard study of adult development is the longest running study of human development that has gone on so far, and they determined exactly the same thing. So, rules for success. Number one, be accountable to a healthy community. To be whole, you have to have meaning and purpose. We need quality relationships with good people that can help us to critique and modify our bad habits and unhealthy behaviors. This can include family, friends, sports, church, business partners, or anyone else that can help us modify our unhealthy behaviors and give us spiritual and emotional connection to others. We should actively seek out to offer and serve these communities in some capacity. Why would we go serve somebody in these communities? Well, because through service, we're giving back to the community for what they're offering to us: stability, behavior modification, and connection. Like it or not, we were designed to be social, and there it's referencing the two studies. So that's number one. You got to have a healthy foundation. And if your part-time or your side time or personal time requires going out and blowing all your money at the casino, or blowing all your money on chicks, or blowing all your money on dope, that's not a good habit, and it's not a good setup for the future. You've got to correct that first, and typically you're going to correct that through community. All right, everybody with me? Number two, settle into a healthy, inexpensive routine. So many of us get more pleasure from spending money than from saving money. This is primarily because we've never tracked our expenses against our income. One of the things that you have to do if you're going to build wealth is you have got to start the process of tracking everything that you spend. You have to have month one where you go through and track everything. Month two where you realized, I got everything except for there were a couple of things that I missed. Month three where you got it nailed down, right? And you're tracking your income and you're tracking your expenses. If you never do that, you are never going to make the mental connection between your spending habits and your lack of wealth, right? And so what in that scenario, in that case, what happens is we associate emotional spending with reward. And so we continue to do that without even realizing what we're doing, right? Until we come to the end of the month or the beginning of the next month, and rent is due, which is generally our biggest expense. And all of a sudden, we realize after we pay rent, we're a lot broker than we thought. If we financed a car, we got a big ass car payment too. So now we got rent and car. We're a lot broker than what we thought, right? And we don't really know where it all went, right? So the way that you change that is by getting into the process of tracking every expense. Go through your ATM withdrawals, your bank statements. Go through your week as you go. Make mental notes. Send an email to yourself on the phone to remind yourself, every week I go to Carl's Jr., for lunch, and I spend about this much money. I'm going to put that in as an approximate spending in my budget every week, because it's about that much, and conservatively I can guesstimate what it's going to be. And now once you start to save, the reward switches. It switches from emotional spending to saving, because as that savings starts to grow, you are going to gain peace of mind. You're going to gain security. You're going to gain a confirmation that you're on the path to building wealth now. That's how it happens. I mean, like when your account starts to grow, you're actually on the flipping path. Pat yourself on the back because you're on the path. And that's how it starts, right? So that's number two. And it needs to be an inexpensive lifestyle. Okay, so and back to the personal habits. So we've had a ton of people here that couldn't even get through step one. We had a guy here that was here 2 weeks ago that was averaging about $10,000 per week because he was doing another project on the side too, closing out of warranties. He's averaging about $10,000 per week. And now he's at zero, just like that, because of personal issues. Now he's at zero, just like that. Right? And so if you were to take an income like that, and I realize that our guaranteed pay now has just gone to $6,000, but I'm going to say $8,000 because I like pushing you guys, and I want you thinking about how to do more, right? So whether you do it here or you do it driving Uber at night or building kitchens for people, whatever. And for the best lender, did mortgage lending and banking for 10 years, for the best lender, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, to lend to you in a conforming loan that is kind of the top of the food chain, that means that you're a low-risk person, 30% of your household income could go on your housing. What that means, all that means is that $43,000 per month, that means he's got $13,000 to spend on rent to still be a good risk for good credit lenders, right? To still be considered a good risk. Everybody follow me on that logic? Yeah. So that's 13,000 pesos a month. That's 13,000 pesos a month for the biggest nut that a person has to consider, which is their housing generally, right? I mean, unless they're an American, then it might be their car. But generally speaking, it's your house. That's $650 a month. Now you've got 70% of the rest of your remaining income to spend on all the other little stuff. And if you bought a car cash and you don't have a car payment too, you've got all that money freed up so that you can spend it on other things. There's plenty of room to save. All right, everybody with me? So this is how the process works. These are how the neurons form. This is how we start walking on the path to building wealth. So, but first things first, you got to have your personal habits and routine down pat so that you don't flake out and pull the rug out from under yourself like so many of these guys have come to the call center here already. Number 3 is be humble. So often we live as if we're going to hit the lottery soon, borrowing against our future to be paid back by our future selves. When we subtract anything from our future, we're hurting our future selves in the beginning. We need to resist societal temptation to drive a new car, have a bigger house, eat at the best restaurants, and post it on Facebook. And we have to learn to live within our means and abilities. And I printed off a bunch of scripture for you guys because the Bible is the oldest known library on the planet, and I feel like there's a lot of wisdom in there that people tend to ignore these days. This is just the tip of the iceberg on humility, by the way. There are probably 10,000 scriptures on humility, for the record, right? And so being humble means that me in Baja Malibu, when I see the dude next to me driving in his Mercedes utility vehicle, that probably cost him $150,000. Financed, right? And I see the neighbor across from me building a bigger house, and I'm still stuck in renting mode and haven't purchased property here in Mexico and don't own property anywhere right now yet. So when I see those things, that attraction for me to try to compete, to look like I'm a part of, I've got to resist that. I have to resist that temptation. Because what you're seeing 9 times out of 10, that may not be the case in my neighborhood, we do have some pretty wealthy people there, but what you're seeing is somebody that is displaying an image, giving you an image of success, when in fact, that, whatever it is, $15,000 car that they just went and financed that's now worth 10 grand is actually subtracted from their worth because they owe a $15,000 bill on a car that's only worth $10,000 now, because they typically plummet in value, right, without these supply chain issues. So what they are giving you is really an illusion. And so you've got to understand, Dave Ramsey likes to say in the beginning, we live like no one else so that later we can live like no one else. You've got to be humble. Live where you're at. Live where you're at. Live within your means. All right, so So that's another one. Be humble. Understand where you are and live where you're at rather than trying to impress anybody. When you see those new cars and trucks out there on the street, realize the retardation that's going on with the debt right now, where everybody wants to go out and finance something so they can look like they're successful, right? That's what's happening. 9 times out of 10, it's what's happening, right? All right, so next, establish and embrace an intentional routine. So there must be time for learning, relationship building, introspection, and planning. Will you be conservative through real estate and securities, or will you be aggressive and take more risk as an entrepreneur? So I've got the quadrant image there of the 7 habits of highly effective people. You'll notice that quadrant 2 is not urgent, but it is important, right? If you go to that top right-hand quadrant, and examples of things that are important that are not urgent are thoughtful creative work, high-quality outputs, productive collaborations with other people, training and development, recreation and family time, right? These are not urgent because they don't press upon us, but they are important. Whatever skill set you need to get where you're going to go, you've got to address that to some degree. Even if you only spend 10 minutes on it a day. Everybody can do 10 minutes on anything. I don't give a shit what it is. Right? And if you can't do that, you're lying to yourself, and it's not going to reward you. So here's how my plan started. So a little over a year ago, in fact, I think it was July, that I went out to visit the office there in Boca Raton. So probably back, 6 months prior to that, maybe even a year, I had my eye on the insurance industry. And so I set up Indeed reminders, notifications, that whenever a new company wanted to hire in insurance, I would get a notification for it. Well, as these things kept coming in, and I noticed, there were months going by where 50 or 100 companies were hiring for insurance, I said, damn, this is a good place to be. This is going to be a good place to be probably for the next 10, 20 years. I think I'm going to move towards this. And then I saw one of my former clients, Gus Rainey, that was in our auto warranty call center. He had moved into insurance. I saw him talking about insurance. I shot him a little message. Hey, Gus, are you guys moving into insurance? Yeah, man, you come be a part of this, that. So I head out to Boca, and now I'm not in insurance. I have a call center where other people get to be in insurance, and I'm not in insurance, but in that channel. So the point of that is that whatever you're aiming for, it's never going to be a straight path, guys. It's going to go like this. It's going to go like this. You're going to land somewhere, realize, okay, that wasn't quite what I was looking for. Got to readjust. Then go over here, and so I have now contracted with other insurance companies, and through those other channels, I am in insurance, and I've got 48 health and life state licenses. This is a plan that started a year and a half ago, and it took me a year and a half to get here, right? And so family time, creative introspection, your plan, and doing the studying, whatever it is. If you don't have a computer, you should have a computer. Why don't you have a computer? The whole world is moving online. And since to communicate on a computer, you need to type, you should practice typing. There are free typing programs out there that cost $0, a bunch of them. And 10 minutes a week, 10 minutes 5 minutes a night, 10 minutes a week, anything to start moving yourself towards your goal of being better at the skill set that you need to earn what you want to earn. You guys with me? Everybody follow me? I know this is a little dry. Really important stuff. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. We've basically gone through the whole book this year at some point in time. Highly recommend anybody reading that has not read it yet. Stephen R. Covey. And last but not least, guys, we have to be patient, right? There's the spider web analogy back there. And I'm not going to get into that a whole lot. I do want to talk about lottery winners. So after winning the lottery, what's the outcome? According to a recent study by Mark Hoekstra from the University of Pittsburgh, winning the lottery doubles a person's chances of filing bankruptcy. According to other studies, about 70% of lottery winners are going to end up going broke and filing bankruptcy. Interesting observations. The more they win, the more likely to file bankruptcy. And in other words, if you win $500, you probably won't file bankruptcy, but if you win $1 million, you probably will. Instead of paying their debts, they usually create debt at a fast rate until their money runs out. Winning the lottery also increases a person's chances of overdose, suicide, and assassination. So guys, there's no lottery, and the grass is greener syndrome it's like a sickness, right? I mean, unless you've got a legitimate opportunity that has a track record associated with it, then it's always harder where I'm at because life is tough, right? That's the nature of what we're in. And so that's why it's so important to do this stuff to get yourself somewhere else. I promise you, if you get to a place in your life where you got $50,000 or $100,000 in the bank, it's going to completely change the dynamic of how you address life and the opportunities that you take. You're not going to take an opportunity that's not going to let you grow professionally. You just won't do it because you've got resources. You don't need the money right now. You need to continue building wealth. And so you're going to move towards the things that are going to reward you because you've got the ability to do that now because you've created your own safety net, right? All right, guys, let's have a great day. Thank you.